Okay, thank you for watching this video. The purpose of this video is just to briefly explain what you'll need to do for your final assignment for week 15, the on-demand class. So why don't we just get right to it? So the first thing you need to do is go to Toyonet-Ace, click on this class, tests, and here is the assignment, the course survey. Now, again, I think it's fairly self-explanatory, but there's a few things that you need to know in order to complete the assignment correctly. First of all, yes, answering these questions is part of your lesson 15 assignment. So if you do not submit this assignment, you won't be counted for attendance. And also, look, this feedback that you give in this assignment is really important to help me improve the course. So please spend a little bit of time answering the questions. Again, the question, maybe spend around 1 hour, 60 minutes completing these questions. Okay, so the first questions at the top, these are actually required questions. You won't be able to submit the assignment unless you complete these questions. So the first question is talking about the book. Yeah, we read a book called Getting to Yes. This book is designed for native speakers to learn negotiation skills. So I'd like to know how easy or difficult you found this book to read. So just click here from very easy to very difficult and write maybe a few sentences about why you feel this way. Again, in these boxes where I've asked you to write why you feel this way, please try to write in as much detail as possible, because the more detail that you give me, the better I will be able to make improvements to the course. The second question was how easy or difficult was it for you to communicate with your classmates? As we've talked about before, there were more than 10 different nationalities in our class this semester, many different cultural backgrounds, many different language proficiencies. So I'd like to know how easy or difficult you found it to communicate with your classmates. And once again, why did you find it easy or difficult? The next question is very simple. Just what was the most interesting thing you learned in the course? And then the final question here is, could you suggest some improvements to the course? Again, many of the things that we did this semester were based on comments that were given from students. So please take some time to give your suggestions, and hopefully this will help me to improve the course for future students. Now, these questions at the top here, these are all required questions. You need to complete these questions. This is feedback on the course. However, the questions below are not required, and these are related to a research project that I'm doing that I would really like to ask for your cooperation with. Again, here is some instructions. This is known as a informed consent instructions, which are necessary for me to be able to use your answers in a research project. So let me just read through them all very quickly, so that you can understand them. The first, it's the project of this research that I'm doing, student perceptions of AI-driven reflection discussions in business EAP. Let's just read the instructions together. It says here that you are invited to participate in a research study examining how weekly reflections and their AI-generated summaries are used to guide classroom discussions for academic purposes, or EAP. The goal is to understand perspectives on this learning process to improve teaching practices and contribute to academic research on language learning. So this is the key point here. Nowadays, research on AI, how AI technologies can be used to help improve teaching and student learning is well, there's a lot of it about. It's becoming more and more important. So I'd like to ask for your participation in this. You might not have known, but a lot of the reflection activities, when I showed the student comments in the classroom, and then we discussed questions based on those comments. The comments were actually summarized by AI. I used AI to summarize all your comments and find themes in the comments. And then what I did after that is after I found the themes, I put them together. I checked them with the actual comments that you wrote. So I did go back and read through the comments to make sure that the AI wasn't doing anything untoward, shall we say. And then I put all of that together and then created discussion questions for you to discuss in the class. Actually, the AI was only used to summarize and find the themes in your reflections. The discussion questions were created by myself. So I'd like to ask you a few questions to find out how did you find these reflection activities and what kind of comments you have about them. Again, as this is information for a research paper or for collecting data for research, your participation in this survey is completely voluntary. You don't have to answer. You may choose not to answer any question. So you don't have to answer. You can only all of the questions. If there's questions you don't want to answer, some you do want to, some you don't, you can choose which questions you want to answer. And you can stop completing the survey at any time without penalty. And this is really important. Look, your decision to participate or not participate will have zero impact on your grades, evaluation, or standing in the course. It's completely voluntary. Something else to mention is that this survey will be entirely anonymous. No names or identifying personal information will be used in any research related to this survey. All responses will be stored securely, and I will be the only one able to access your answers. However, the findings of these of your answers may be used in presentations in academic conferences or reports for academic journals. However, individual students will never be identified and identifiable in any of the reports or presentations. So your information will be kept completely anonymous and unidentifiable. If you agree to what has been written above, yes. Here is a question to see whether you agree or disagree with this. If you do agree, it says that you have read and understood the information provided above, you're at least 18 years of age, and that you have volunteered to participate in the study. Now, once again, it is completely voluntary. However, I really, really would appreciate your answers here. This is something that's new for me, something that I've just used this semester, and I'd really, really love to hear your comments on this so that I can improve it and help other teachers as well, improve their use of reflections activities in their classes as well. So please, 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 I would really appreciate your participation in this study. So once again, please click that either you agree or not agree. Okay, and then here are 5 questions that I'd like you to answer. The first question is, I feel comfortable knowing that the reflections are being summarized by an AI tool to guide our class discussion. Now, I know I didn't mention this in the class, but now that you know this, how do you feel about it? Does it bother you that I used AI to summarize and the reflections and find the themes? Or were you or does it not bother you that I was using AI to summarize your reflections to find discussion themes? Again, go from strongly agree to disagree to agree, and then write a few sentences of why do you agree or why do you not disagree or why are you neutral, for example. The rest of the questions are basically on the reflection activities themselves. The first one, this question here, question two, seeing the summarized reflections of the whole class made me feel like my individual voices and challenges were heard. So, did you feel that, like, when your comments were chosen and shown in the class, did that give you feel more included in the class? Again, go from strongly agree, disagree to agree, and explain in a few sentences why you felt that way. Question three, reviewing weekly reflection summaries in the class helped me to identify my own strengths and weaknesses in the negotiation. So this is more less than the reflection activities, but simply writing the reflections themselves. Did reflecting on your performance help you to identify your strong points and weak points, or did you feel that it wasn't useful for helping you do that? Again, choose how you feel and then write a few sentences as why you felt that way. Question number 4 here. The classroom discussions based on our reflections made the lessons feel relevant to my actual learning needs. So did seeing the reflection questions and then discussing the discussion questions related to them help you improve your learning in the class? And then finally, hearing about my classmates' struggles and questions about negotiating made me feel more comfortable participating in class activities. So, look, many of the the comments that were made in the reflections talked about struggles that people were having in the classroom. Did hearing about the struggles that your classmates were having help you to could you relate to them? And did that help you to feel more comfortable in the class in any way or participating in the activities? Again, write your opinion, select your opinion, and then write your the reason why below. Finally, at the end here, now look, it's not guaranteed that I would contact you if you write your email address, but if you would be willing to meet for a short interview, for me to ask you some follow-up questions on your answers, then please write an email address below here that you would like me to contact on. Again, this is entirely optional. If you prefer me not to contact you at all, then you don't have to write anything in this box. But if you would be willing to meet for an interview on your question, a short interview on your questions, on the answers to your questions, then please write your email there. Again, even if you do write your email, it's not guaranteed that I will contact you. But if I do think, wow, I'd like to hear a little bit more on this comment, it would be great to have the opportunity to talk to you more. So I hope you would consider leaving an email address. Okay, so that's all for the explanation. Again, the top questions, just to remind you, the top questions here are mandatory. You do need to complete these questions. However, the questions related to my research project are optional. However, I do really hope you will consider answering them because it would make such a difference to my research project. And I think it will help me to improve these reflection activities in the future. So I really do hope that you will spend some time to leave your comments. Okay, so that's all. Once you've completed this activity, you have completed all the assignments for the course. Again, the deadline is Sunday, July 26th. Okay, so please make sure that you complete it before the deadline. Again, if you have any questions about the activity, don't hesitate to email me. I would be happy to answer any questions you have. Okay, so thank you so much. It's been a pleasure teaching you this semester. I hope you learned something good from the course, and I look forward to seeing your answers. Okay, have a nice summer.